Don't be blinded by the numbers. Don't just work with popular ones. Work with the small ones because those are the ones that you never know. That could be the next big artist. Hey everyone, my name is Jinno Mina. So I'm the regional manager for Southeast Asia for Ditto Music. I came from Warner before I joined Ditto. I actually started the Manila office for Ditto about 5 years ago. So before then, I was the A&R for Warner Music Philippines. I got a call from Latchme. So she was the GM for Warner Music Philippines then. And I was working for the Sony Music licensee here in Manila called Ivory Music. I was working as a label manager for the domestic roster for Ivory Music. And pretty much I got the call and Miss Latch was asking if, I can join the team and help out with developing the roster. At that time, Warner didn't have a lot of local artists. So basically they got me to work with more. And I signed a lot. Among the artists I have worked with and signed in Warner was Ben and Ben, IV of Spades, Lian and Nara. I think, Quest was there as well. I signed Quest and a lot more. In my opinion, I think just for me, it all boils down to the song. That's the first thing I listen to is the song. Even before I look at the artist on how to package them and all, mainly it's the song. In fact, when I listen to demos, I prefer listening to the songs a cappella because I was a trained A&R. So when I listen to a demo, I can actually hear how it's gonna be arranged in my head. So I prefer listening just the basics. It's the song. Yeah. Now it's easier because when I first started in the industry, it was the physical era, obviously. And if you're working in the majors, you're kind of limited to your own market. But as the years gone by, we're all digital now. It's a bit easier to get a fan base outside your home country. As you know, playlists on Spotify, Apple Music, they play a big role on expanding an artist audience. And that means working with the DSP editors, the label reps. That helps a lot with exporting artists to other territories. In terms of bringing artists in, well, pretty much it's the same. Think of it as, for example, at Ditto, I'm not limited to working with artists in the Southeast Asian territory. I actually have artists that are in Western countries that are signed here in the Manila office. It doesn't really matter actually where you're signed now, as long as you work with the global team and that global team works with one another, there's a good chance of breaking into another territory. So, which is fairly easier now. Remember, even if it's a niche market artist, we're all digital now. So that niche market could be millions, unlike before. Off the bat, Philippines is mainly a Spotify country. That's a given fact. I see it in the numbers, I see it in the reports. On Spotify, of course, the goal is to have your song on Hot Hits Philippines. Some of the popular ones are OPM favorites, for example. Hugot, Tatak Pinoy. For hip-hop artists, there's Kalye Hip Hop, which is a very good playlist because once your song gets in there, it's not the type of playlist that gets updated weekly. So could be there for a couple of weeks. So those are the actual playlists that drive the streams, especially if you're an artist with a developing following on your Spotify page, for example. Of course, the goal is to have an artist have enough followers that playlisting isn't really required. Every artist will get to a point wherein they have their loyal fans now. Not just followers. Fans are different. Fans are loyal. Followers, they follow the trend. What's hip, what's popular, they follow you. But from my observation, having a big following doesn't mean that they are fans. So it's our goal. It's the label's goal or it's the distributor's label services role to convert those followers into fans. So yeah. Yeah, usually here at least in Manila, it's pay at the gate. And it's usually what we call a production gig, wherein on one venue, you pay a certain fee and you get to watch, I don't know, 6 to 10 artists in one night. Compared to like most of the countries where you go to a gig place and there's one main artist and probably one or two support acts. And I guess it's the lack of live music venues here in Manila. And I guess there's a lot of musicians here that you can actually fill a whole small auditorium, whatever. There's a lot of artists here. So venues tend to do that, production gigs. But I've been noticing there are some venues now that are trying to shy away from those and going back to the old school, like one night, like main act, and there's a support act. The ticket prices have gone up, which is fine because, as you know, as an artist, you have to get paid. I'm glad to see that venue places that have bumped up the gate fee for their gigs, people still go to those gigs. For local artists, there are actually a lot of touring opportunities to go to other provinces. Surprisingly, those actually pay well. But in order to get those gigs, you have to be, well, popular enough for local promoters there to reach out to you and book you in a gig. They can actually see in their socials where if they're doing a show in, for example, in Ilocos, in the north of Manila, there's a big crowd there. If you go to Cebu, there's a big crowd there. Most likely, you don't have to go on the Spotify analytics to know that. It's mainly on Facebook. You can see it in your Facebook analytics where your audience is. That's where you go. There's one band that is with Ditto, Silent Sanctuary. They probably played every corner of the Philippines and they do it on a weekly basis. If you get popular enough, maybe you get the chance to go on a US tour or whatever. You get to play abroad. You get invited in festivals. I've spoken to a lot of like local managers here. The overhead cost of bringing like an artist abroad on a US tour from the Philippines is expensive. And venues they fill up is like anywhere from 300 capacity to like in the few thousands. But if you do the numbers, sometimes it's very tight when it comes to overhead costs. So artists tend to lower their cost when doing tours in the US, for example. They do it by the volume. So they do multi-city tours. They actually can benefit from that because when they go back, they can actually bump up their standard rates here. And that's where they make more money. That's how I see it. The traditional instrument here, it's a percussive instrument. It's called kolintang. It's like a molded brass metal plate wherein it has like an off-key note, has a distinct sound to it. It's a common instrument used in world music here. The people in the provinces, the Philippines is not only Manila. It's a lot of places here. And every place, like sometimes if you travel by land, 3 hours, it's a different language, it's a different dialect. And they listen to new stuff. There's like, for example, I rode on a motorcycle up to the mountain province in Sagada. They have country music there. They have cowboys. If you go to the province of Sagada, country music is very much alive there. Being on the distribution side is distributors, not only us, even other distributors. We're not boxed in. We're not looking for a specific sound that we can work with. At Ditto, we have all sorts of genres that I couldn't possibly imagine signing to a major label. At Ditto, we have metal bands. I'm talking to reggae artists, like legit, not pop reggae, like old school reggae artists. We even have a spoken word artist at Ditto. And we have like a bebop jazz group that we work with, which is cool. I always feel that every genre should be represented, and I'm glad that we're in a position to help everyone, regardless of your genre. If you're good enough, if we sound good enough, we'll probably reach out to you. It doesn't matter if you have 0 followers on Spotify or if you have like thousands of followers. We treat everyone the same. And that's where, I guess, that's what differs from working with a distributor with a major label. We want to grow with the artist. I want to say both, but if I had to pick one, it's cycling to lose weight. I cycle to stay out of the doctor.
That's a good
But it
way
keeps
to-
me healthy, I guess. Different platforms, sometimes word of mouth, sometimes recommendations from trusted, sources, sometimes socials, YouTube. I always have my Shazam. Probably something to do with bike shop. I'll put up my own cycling shop. Probably that's my retirement plan. So yeah. I would have to say it's beef in cream of mushroom, the way my mom did it. So it reminds me of my mom. If you want to listen to, recording artists doing bar gigs, that's a handful. 70s Bistro, Zagiho, 123 Block, 19 East, Moe's. At least those are the popular ones. I'm not sure about words of wisdom. I would just say, just wing it. It's okay to feel that sometimes you don't know what you're doing, which is totally fine. At the end of the day, it's all about music. If you have to trust your instinct when you're working with an artist. Don't be blinded by the numbers. Don't just work with popular ones. Work with the small ones, because those are the ones that you never know. That could be the next big artist. Don't be blinded. I guess that's it. It's not show business at all. It's part show business, but it's music business. So yeah, as always, thank you Gig Life Pro for having me. I know I haven't been to a lot of the meetings that you guys have, but I always, whenever Gig Life Pro has a mixer going on, I'm always there.